So we've experimented with rendering, and this is the one that I made for my, I guess, money shot, my first sheet. And I've gone ahead and built 3 sheets for us. I'm not going to torture you by going through my whole experience of developing these sheets because I probably spent over an hour kind of developing views in that. But I do want to review what was my thinking to kind of guide your thinking to lay out at least a couple of sheets for submittal. First warning, or first important piece of information: if you're having a lot of trouble with rendering, it's very time consuming. You can do the minimum amount of resolution for photorealistic rendering, and if that's still giving you problems, we'll try the lab computers. And then also, at last resort, they can just be rendered with regular realistic rendering type mode. I don't want you spending more than waiting for more than 5 or 10 minutes for any image to render, but it is definitely worthwhile to go through this experience and see the quality that you can generate with your architecture. So there's our first shot. Like all of these are saved renderings. Once you've made them, you just save it to the project. I've given them names. I've created more images than I'm actually going to present, and I made another sheet, and this is important. The second sheet that I'm going to show you contains something that is a must-have on the submittal, and that would be a site plan. So we're looking at an aerial view, a site view, excuse me, it's not an aerial view. It shows the topography. It's rendered realistically. You can vary this. This is, graphically represented. It's not an actual site plan, but it does show the road. I've cropped it down because our site was on an angle a bit, and if I put that on the sheet, it would look crooked. So I just cropped down to make it look like it's square. Please note the scale is 1 to 100. That'll help you to size it for your presentation sheet. The other view here, I spent a little bit of time, getting something at that kind of level 1 view of the exterior. I think the relationship of the architecture to the exterior area is just a nice, gives you a nice idea of what the building looks like and what the exterior spaces would be like. I've added entourage, tables, a couple of planters, put plants in them, arranged the trees behind, and most importantly, I've given pavers surface to the level 1 pad, or the pad. So if you were to click on this surface in yours, you can duplicate it and then give it a name like paver pad, and then add a texture to it. And I added one of the in the can paver textures, but I adjusted the size. These are about 2 feet by 2 feet. If you don't adjust the size, you're going to look really tiny, and you want these pavers to look relatively large, like I'm showing you here. These are basically at scale. These are about 2 feet by 2 feet, which means that in the rendering that I used, the rendering texture that I used, I upscaled it from 9 inches to like 8 feet or something like that to get these to be 2 by 2. So that's the second sheet that I've generated. And once again, this can be any image you want, but I definitely need to see the site plan. And then on the third sheet, I just took some alternate views. I would not present all of these 3 views. I'm just putting them on the sheet. At least one of these views would be eliminated. I think this first top left one is probably a stronger view than the second view of the building, but that's kind of up to your own determination, what you might be interested in presenting. And then down at the bottom here, I experimented with doing kind of an aerial, or a bird's eye view. But I did it in a way that I would like you to, I guess, be cognizant of. Notice the lines are vertical here. I didn't go up high and then look down on the architecture. I actually went high and looked out straight and then adjusted the crop box. So this is, I think, at 85 feet or something like that. And the eye elevation and the target elevation are both at 85 feet. And then I adjusted the crop box to get everything in. The only thing that's a little objectionable, I think, about this is the kind of distortion that's happening down here at the second building pad. I might have cropped that out or picked a little bit of a different angle. So anyway, that's the overview of what I would, like to see as far as a presentation sheet. At least 2 sheets, our big rendering, and make sure our site is there, and maybe a couple of other rendering views of the building. And if rendering time is a problem, do what you need to do to make it a little bit shorter on yourself, but still try to maintain the best quality you can. Remember, this will be the same kind of work you'll be wanting to do in studio, so you might as well kind of perfect your techniques or start developing your techniques, so to speak.